Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 71a, top of the page, with the words Ipcha Masninan Le. Learn the reverse, that is to say, according to our version of the Braita, it is the judges of the exile who maintain that the claimant collects only half the sum, which correspond to the halacha taught by Rava. New Mishnah. Lo es habor velo es hagas velo es hashovach. Bein charevin bein yeshuvin v'tzarech likach lo derech divrei Rabbi Akiva v'cham omrim ein tzarech. In the continuation of the previous Mishnah on 68b, discussing one who sells a field, the Mishnah teaches that even if he says that he is selling it and everything that is in it, has sold neither the cistern nor the winepress nor the dovecote, whether it is abandoned or utilized, as these items are not part of the field itself, and the seller must purchase for himself a path through the buyer's domain to reach whatever remains his. This is the statement of Rabbi Akiva, who holds that one who sells generously. Therefore, whatever is not explicitly excluded from the sale is assumed to be sold, and it is presumed that the seller did not retain for himself the right to the path that he requires to access his property. And the rabbis say the seller need not purchase the path through the buyer's domain, as it is assumed that since the seller withholds these items for himself, he also reserves a path to reach them. Umod Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva concedes, Bisman Shamar Lo, Chutz Me'elu, She'eno Tzarech Likach Lo Derech, that when the seller says to the buyer in the bill of sale that he is selling the field, apart from these things, meaning that the cistern and the winepress, she'ein tzarech likach lo derech, he need not purchase for himself a path through the buyer's domain, since these items would have been excluded from the sale, even if he had said nothing. It is assumed that he also meant to reserve for himself the right to access them. Rabbi Akiva Omer, ein tzarech likach lo derech, chacham omrim tzarech likach lo derech. Since these items would have been excluded from the sale, even if he had said nothing, it is assumed that he also meant to reserve for himself the right to access them. But if the seller kept the field, but sold the cistern and winepress to another person, Rabbi Akiva says the buyer need not purchase for himself a path through the seller's domain to reach what he has bought, since a seller sells generously, but the rabbis say he must purchase for himself a path through the seller's domain. Bama devar mamurim b'moichel, aval b'noisin matono, noisin es kula, achet shecholku zachu basode, zachu bachula. Hamach ze b'nechasei ager, echzik basode, echzik b'chula. In what case is this statement? In what case is this statement that these items are excluded said? It is said with regard to one who sells a field, but with regard to one who gives it away as a gift, it is assumed that he gives all of it, including everything found in the field. Similarly, with regard to brothers who divide their father's estate among themselves, when they each acquire a field as part of their inheritance, they acquire all of it, including the items that would be excluded from a sale. So too, with regard to one who takes possession of the property of a convert, when he takes possession of a field, he takes possession of all of it. Hamagdish es asode, higdish es kula, b'shimin oimer, hamagdish es asode, lo hegdish ela charuv amurkav, bet sedan ashikmo. One who consecrates a field has consecrated all of it. Rabbi Shimon says, one who consecrates a field has not consecrated any of the items that are ordinarily excluded from a sale, except for the grafted carob tree and the sycamore trunk. And that's the end of the Mishnah. The Gemara says, the Gemara asks, Ma'ishna mocher u'ma'ishna matana. The Gemara asks, in what way is a sale different from a gift? And in what way is a gift different from a sale? Perish Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekosa Ifnei Rabbi Ze perish v'ze lo perish. Why does the Mishnah distinguish between two, with regard to two, between the two with regard to what is retained by the prior owner? What's the difference between a gift and a sale in terms of halachically? Yehuda ben Nekosa explained before Yehuda, for Rebbe, which is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the difference between the cases is that once the seller specified that certain items were not included in the sale, and that one the donor did not specify. And in the sales it's specified, in the gift it's not specified. Okay? Hi, זה פרש ולא פרש, זה לא פרש וזה לא פרש הוא, אלא זה היה לא לפרש, וזה לא היה לפרש. The Gemara asks, how can it be suggested that this one specified and that one did not specify, when in fact this one did not specify and that one did not specify, this one did not specify and that one did not specify, as in neither case did the prior owner specify what items he was receiving for himself. Rather, the difference is that this one, the buyer, should have specified that those items are not integral parts of the field, are nevertheless included in the sale, and since he neglected to do so, he suffers a loss. But in the case of a gift, that one, recipient, should not have specified what was included in the gift, as it would have been inappropriate for him to act in this manner. Amar Mar Zutre, Mea Amarle, Mea Ve'eschin Lo Amarle. It is related that there was a certain person who said to others, give so-and-so my house, containing 100 barrels, as a gift. It was found that there was a house in his possession that contained 120 barrels. Mar Zutra said, the owner said to him, that he was giving him a house containing 100 barrels. And he did not say to him that he was giving him a house containing 120 barrels. Therefore, the recipient receives only the portion of the house that holds 100 barrels, and not the rest of the house. I don't understand why he just doesn't take out the extra 20 barrels. Just give the 20. Why? Yeah. Okay. Rav Ashi says, Mi lo itnan b'medvarim amurim b'moicher, aber b'noisim matono, noisin es kulon, al man di oiv matono be'ein yofi oiv, ochanami man di oiv matono be'ein yofi oiv. Rav Ashi said, didn't we learn in the Mishnah here in what cases this statement says? It is said with regard to one who sells a field, but with regard to one who gives it away as a gift, it is assumed that he gives all of it. Apparently, one who gives a gift gives generously. Here too, then, say that one who gives a gift gives generously, even if he is not always precise in his wording. Therefore, it should be assumed that the donor intended to give the recipient the entire house, which contains more than 100 barrels. Hamagdish es hasode higdish v'chule. Amar Rav Huno, afal gavdi amar Rabbanon, hakon shnei ilonois, besoich shel chaveroi, harei ze lo yikon הקרקע, mochal karka, ושייך שני איש לפניו, יש לו קרקע, ואפילו רב עקיבא, גם המאכל ואין יופי מאכל, הנמילי גם בבור ודוס, דלא כמחש בערו, אבל אילונויס, The Mishnah teaches one who consecrates a field is consecrated all of it. Rav Huna said, even though the rabbis said if one buys 2 trees in the field of another, he does not acquire any of the land, but acquires only the trees. And if he sells land to another and he retains 2 trees for himself, he also retains the land around those trees. That does not always apply. Rav Huna elaborates, and even according to Rabbi Akiva, who says that one who sells generously and does not retain anything for himself. This does not always apply, as this statement applies only with regard to a pit and a cistern, which do not weaken the land, and therefore the seller feels no need to protect himself from the potential claims of the buyer. But with regard to the trees which do weaken the land, as they draw water and nutrients in the soil, just to keep the thought going, we're on 71b, turn the page, Im isa de lo shayar, if so, but with regard to trees which do weaken the land, if it is so the prior owner did not retain some of the land for himself, let the buyer say to him, uproot your trees, take them and go, as trees draw water and nutrients from the soil, causing damage to the buyer's land. Therefore the seller must have retained for himself the land needed for these trees.